that even mean, Bowers game for me?
Ahoy there, YouTube! I'm back again today for another game review, and today we're excited to check out Hanna Honeybee from Hanna. This is for ages 2+. It's for what, probably 2 to 4 players. Take about 5 to 15 minutes to play, and in Hanna Honeybee, what you're doing is you are going to be rolling a big chunky wooden die, because it's a Hanna game, and trying to make honey with that die. You're going to be putting some flowers into a beehive and turning them into honey, hopefully getting 6 pieces of honey. Now, this is one of the My Very First Games line from Hanna. So this is for ages 2+. So it's a very light, simple children's game, but is it good? Let's open it up and I'll tell you what I think. Righty then, we're going to take a look at what you're going to get inside of Hanna Honeybee. So first and foremost, we have a handy dandy rule booklet. You're going to need the first, I think it's 7 pages, double-sided, full color, full of pictures and examples. And it's well done, except for one big thing that I think is actually a rules oversight, which I'll talk to you more about when we get to it. That being said, I immediately house ruled it once we saw it, but it might be the way the rule is. Also, there are 2 games that you can play with the game. I'll show you how both of them work, even though they're both very similar. So what you're going to do in Hanna Honeybee in both games is you're trying to get 6 honey into this honey pot right here. If you can do that, then you will win the game along with whoever you're playing with. This is a fully cooperative game. The next thing that you're going to be doing is you're going to set out everything. So you're going to have this board, which is actually really cool. It goes inside the box. You'll tuck it up, and boom, you got your honey making area here for the bees. You're going to set out all the flowers face up. Now, if you're playing game 2, they'll actually be face down, as it has a memory aspect to it. You're going to make sure you have the honeybee nearby and the die nearby, and you are ready to rock and roll. So what are you going to do on your turn? It's really quite simple. The first game, what you're going to do is you're going to roll the red die, and you are going to put that color, boom, into here. So put the flower into the hive, and out comes honey, which you put right here. Now, it also says in the rules that you keep going until there's no more of that color. So you would also get to do this. That does not feel right to me, and I'm pretty sure that's actually an oversight, because that rule makes sense in Game 2, but it doesn't really make sense in Game 1, because in Game 2, that means all you have to do is roll 3 colors, and you win the game. And you'd have to get 6 of these to win the game. Now, I know it's for ages 2+, and they want them to succeed, but still, I'm pretty sure that's not what they meant in the rules, even though that's what it says. Now, that rule makes a lot more sense when you're playing the Game 2 version of the game, which has you having the honey face up, and you have to guess where the flowers are. It becomes a memory game at that point, so you roll it, and you say, I think this one's yellow, and it's not. So that way, if you can get 2 in a row, you're actually kind of earning it, and that version of the game is much more difficult. If you get it correct, then you get to put it in here, boom, turn it into honey. Now, you'll also notice that on this die, in addition to the colors that you're going to see, is a wilted flower. You guessed it, if that comes up, you take one of these, boom, it's dead, that flower has died. You're going to continue to do this, making Hanna Honeybee go and make the honey, until you either win, because you have 6 circles in the honey jar, or until you lose and Hanna stings everyone in the eyeball. Actually, she can only sting 1 because she's a bee, in which case you have too many wilted flowers. But that, in a nutshell, is what you're going to do inside of Hanna Honeybee. Alrighty then, Hanna Honeybee from Hanna. What are my final thoughts? Let's go to the pros, let's go to the cons. So this is kind of a weird one for me. So first on the con side, there's one big glaring rule in this game that I absolutely hate, and I think it's actually an error on the part of the people that were supposed to be proof checking the rules. But I could be wrong. If it's not an error, though, then I think it's a big fault with the game. And that is that on game 1, if you roll the dice and it turns up blue and there's 2 blue flowers out there, you get to put both the blue flowers into there and make honey. Which means that you could potentially have this game over after 3 die rolls. So let's say you roll blue, then you roll white, then you roll red, game over. Like, that's it. Just put the stuff in, you're done. Which doesn't feel right at all. When you play it, you're like, that doesn't feel right. So I'm pretty sure, at least I think, what you're supposed to do is you're supposed to take 1 of that color and put it in there. Now, in game 2, it makes a lot more sense. It still has that rule that you can do as many as you want, but in game 2, it brings a memory aspect of the game, so remembering where both of those are is going to be much more difficult. So I think they kind of like maybe copy and pasted from rule 2 from game 2 to game 1 or something like that. I would be really interested to find that out from the designers of it. But anywho, I would immediately house rule. So that's one of my biggest cons with the game, that if you play game 1 the right way, it's going to be over way too fast. It's going to be nearly impossible to lose, which is another con that I have with this game, that it is a very simple game to win. Now, I know some people are going to say, well, yeah, you want to get them excited about gaming by letting them win. But at the same time, I think teaching kids to lose, especially if you're losing together in this cooperative aspect, is a great thing for kids to learn. And it's going to make them strive to hopefully do better next time, even though in this game, that's just dice rolling. But still, I continue on. Also, Game 1, kids are going to outgrow that. Luckily, there's Game 2, which we'll talk more about in the pros. Any other cons I have for the game? Don't come into this expecting a lot of strategy or nuance. It's a game for children ages 2+, so obviously not much going on there. Only children's game, only family game. You're never going to want to bust this out on a game night or a party situation or anything like that. But moving on to the pros, I think Hanna Honeybee is great with an asterisk. That one rule, I got to mention that one rule. That one rule really does throw a monkey wrench into it. It's either they screwed up on the rule booklet or the game itself, especially Game 1, has what I would say is a suboptimal rule. And I played this many, many times. I played it twice the correct way. And both times it was just not that much fun. It was incredibly anticlimactic. There was no sense of tension at all because we knew we were going to win. We're putting in 2 of them at a time. Now, that being said, there are some other house rules that you can add to it to make it better. And I actually did make some house rules add to the game. Where, for instance, if you have to add a color, that color's all gone, then you have to wilt a flower. And that will add some definite suspense and a lot of things to the game. But continuing on with the pros, components are fantastic. One of the best things I like about this game is the fact that you're going to get a lot of mileage out of this game. You're going to get a lot of bang for your buck. You buy this for your 2-year-old or 1.5-year-old even, you're going to be playing Game 1 with them for quite a few years. But then once they start outgrowing Game 1, you can switch on over to the memory aspect of the game, which has the whole new mechanism of making you try and remember where all the different colors are, and that will add more legs to the game. I know my 6-year-old would much rather play that version of the game than the original version of the game. I brought it in my classroom, and it went over well with 8, 9, and 10-year-olds because it does get slightly more challenging then. Because you have to remember where everything is. It's still a simple game, but it does add a degree of difficulty to the game, which is nice. Any other cons I have, or any of the pros that I have of the game? Yeah, I mean it's for ages 2+, and there's not that many games out there that you can say that. And I had amazing success with this, playing with this with both my son and with a few other 2-year-olds. They had a lot of fun with it, and it takes a topic. And this is something you might not think about, but I think about as an educator. They're taking a topic that is a scary topic, a very scary topic for kids this age, which is bees. Bees are freaking scary when you're a little kid. You might not remember. You might not have kids. Well, I imagine if you're watching this video, you might have kids. But you don't even seem to comprehend. I will hear kids screaming whenever there's a bee, and I have kids age 6 to 10. Now, I also work right next door. There's just a fence separating us from the kids that are, say, 2, 3, 4, 5, 2, 3, and 4-year-old, and they are absolutely just losing their mind over these bees, running around, screaming from these bees. So taking that topic and making it into something you can talk about and something fun, they did a great job with that. The inclusion of the actual honeybee is completely unnecessary, but completely awesome. Your kid's going to have a lot of fun playing with that. The dice is chunky. The components are great, aside from that one rule, which I think is probably an error, but if it's not an error, then it dings down the game a little bit. But in the end, Hanna Honeybee, it's this simple. Do you have kids between the age of 1 to 4? Yes, absolutely. Get this. You're going to be playing this game for the next 4 or 5 years, and you're going to get your bang for your buck. Also, components are so nice, you don't really have to worry about anything breaking, aside from maybe this thing getting a little bent up, but that's not the end of the world. So there you go. Hanna Honeybee, my very first games from Hobby Games. Definitely one I can recommend you check out if you're in the market for a very young children's game. If you enjoyed this review, please try to click on that subscribe button down below in the comments below. Let me know, where were you when 9/11 happened? Oh my God. Why did that pop into my mind? Where were you when 9/11 happened? I was taking an I-step test. I think I was in maybe 9th or 10th grade taking an I-step test. And I remember they tried to block everybody from watching the TVs. They shut down the computer labs. It was totally an authoritarian type thing where they're like, no one learn any of this information. And then they were they announced it over the PA, and it was just just like a bomb. But everybody by that point kind of knew, because everybody was like, oh my gosh, what's going on? What's going on? But this was really before cell phones were very popular, so we didn't know. But let me know in the comments below, where were you when 9/11 happened? As always, thanks for your time, YouTube.